What is going on, guys? Back with another video. So one of the most undervalued narratives which everyone has forgotten about is gaming, GameFi. Now this narrative is or used to be one of my personal favorites. There was a huge use case, guys. When you just look at the number of gamers across the world, and it's a narrative, it's an industry which is continuing to grow, and it's inevitable that we're going to see all these big, Web 2 players on board into the Web3 space, because essentially they're going to have to adapt. All right. Now, you have an opportunity to pretty much pick any gaming altcoin, and it's going to be pretty much close to its lows. Over the past week, we have seen a little sign of some life in some of these gaming coins. We've seen some, decent pumps on some, the likes of Magic. We've seen some of the other low caps have, 20, 30% pumps, which we haven't seen for a long time. Now, does this mean gaming is back? It doesn't. It doesn't mean that it is going to come back right now. When it comes back, nobody knows. But the one thing I think everyone can agree on, it is still massively undervalued. All right. In terms of one of the main catalysts that everyone was waiting for was GTA 6. Now, of course, we did hope this was going to come in 2025, but now it is going to come in May 2026. And all this really means is that this has, this sort of gaming run has potential to really extend. And I do think has potential to last longer than a lot of people do expect. As you all know, guys, GTA 6, this game is probably going to be it is going to be the best selling game in history. People have waited for this game, including myself, for a very long time. And then you've got other things such as, Sui, with Sui Play. It reminds me of something similar to the PSP. And again, you can see this is sold out. So for the pre-sale for this is currently sold out, which tells you that there is the demand in place for people to actually, purchase, this product. And again, this is what I like. We're seeing a lot of emphasis on gaming in a lot of these chains. You think of Solana, you think of Sui, you think of AVAX, even something like Sai, which is an upcoming, layer one, which is performing really well. They also have an emphasis on gaming. And what we're going to see is we're going to see more and more releases happen with these chains in terms of gaming developers releasing on these chains. They're just waiting for the right time. So what you should be doing at this stage, guys, is you should be paying attention to gaming. It doesn't mean you go heavy into it. It just means you have it on your radar. It means that you know what coins you can basically, DC into. I have made videos talking about some projects I do like. And again, there will be more releases coming, guys, and there will be, projects which I am bullish on as they come out. But as I've said before, guys, in terms of my main bag in gaming, that is Beam, which has had a tough time. And personally, what I've been doing, throughout this sort of, downtrend we've seen over the past year or so, I've been DCing. So it is up around, 20%. Isn't really that significant in the grand scheme of things. And it's still very close to the bottom. And this is one which has continued to, develop. It's one which I think can really have a massive comeback when we get that gaming rally in place. And apart from that, guys, there's still a lot of choice when it comes to gaming, right? So the main thing is you want to see, are they still developing? Do they have the funds behind them? One of the reasons I like Beam is because they do have a treasury and they have a lot of financial backing behind that treasury as well, different investments, which shows you that they can stay afloat and they're not going to struggle, at least in the short term. Again, no one knows what's going to happen long term. But as I've said, guys, in terms of something like Sui Play, this is going to be huge when this gets released. And you can just imagine how the gaming ecosystem on Sui is going to grow with this product. Because again, this reminds me of the PSP. And I can see, a lot of adults, a lot of people having a lot of demand for this project. And also another aspect to this as well, for people who don't earn a lot of money, also gives people the, aspect of playing to earn. So, potentially, earning whilst playing. You can see some of the, rewards you can earn on this with different projects, some of the big memes on Sui as well. So this is really exciting. And you can see it is also, $600. So it isn't cheap. But it shows you, despite the price tag, people are interested. So again, this is something which I think is going to be massive. And then you also have the Solana Mobile. which of course isn't just tailored to gaming, but it does have the different apps on the Solana App Store. So this is going to be different projects deep in AI, RWA, and also gaming. Projects will be featured on this Solana App Store. And again, some of the good Solana gaming projects, you think of the likes of Octo Gaming, which is a mobile-based platform, I think is going to have a massive, massive comeback. Despite that as well, guys, in the background, you've got massive news coming out with gaming. You've got a lot of different, news with Web 2, Web 3. You've got the likes of here, Circle Games raising over 7 million to basically fund their puzzle game. You've got here Lamborghini's first metaverse supercar is here. So the developments aren't stopping, all right? And the main thing is there is a real opportunity here to have, even if it's a small position, which you can top up later, you should have some exposure to gaming. I know a lot of people are saying you shouldn't, bother, which of course is understandable because of how it's performed. But as we all know, guys, gaming is a narrative which isn't going anywhere. It is going to have a comeback. And, if that means you have to be patient, then, by all means, you just have to, have that patience. Now, we can talk about some of the projects I think you should have on your watch list. Now, of course, IMX is the biggest one. I do think this will have a massive, massive recovery. 900 million market cap. This was one that I used to hold. In terms of these, Gala, Sandbox, and Decentraland, personally, I wouldn't recommend them. These are the older coins. They could have a comeback. Now, ones I like, I think Beam is going to perform very, very well, and it is what you could consider a mid cap. This is, 300 million market cap. Ronin as well. Now, this is one which is having a lot of activity on chain. Superverse, again, big backers behind it. And then where I think the real opportunity comes for gaming is when you come towards the lower caps. You've got Zai, you've got the likes of, Cedarfy, which of course is a launch pad. Something like Ancient 8, I think this is a layer 2. Myria, again, pretty much close to the bottom as well. Continuing to develop, also have AI into it as well. And the other thing as well, when it comes to something like Myria, this is a project which has had a lot of the dilution already occur, and now, it is close to around 60% in circulation. And the other thing with this as well, guys, is even though it's been pretty slow in terms of the developments for Myria, in terms of them developing more games from Myria Studios, they have continued to develop and also launched into the AI space as well with Myria AI in terms of the smart development kits. So this is one which I do think could make a comeback. Other ones to have on your watch list, I think Gunzilla. Now this one had a lot of hype around it. This is also an L1. So this is something which also does have potential. The main downside with this is the sort of harsh vesting. But ultimately, when the demand is there, we can see just how aggressively some of these projects can move. It's not one of my top picks, but it is one that I do see. Pixels, again, decent pick. Nakamoto Games. Now, this is an older project, which, again, many people prefer newer projects, but it is one that I can see having a comeback. Crown, Carrot, G-File, again, very slow in terms of how it's moving, very low volume, but it is one which has come down a lot and could have a very aggressive move to the upside. Metakid, I think, can perform well. And then you've got some big opportunities when it comes towards the microcaps, all right? So in terms of the microcaps, Mavia, another one which has been very frustrating, but it is one of those coins that can literally just pump from nowhere, right? We saw this, earlier in March 2025, was pretty much dead, went from 5 million all the way up to 30 million in the space of a few days. So this is the reality of what can happen once gaming becomes hyped again. And, you don't want to miss the boat. So as I've said, Mavia, I think, can have a comeback. Very high risk. It could go to zero, or it could do massive returns. And then you come down the list. Other things, I think, Playable also, seems to be having some sort of a comeback. I think they've updated the white paper. I think someone was telling me this, which is good to see. Good to see that they're still here. Shrapnel, another project again, which has had a massive sell-off, but is one of those triple A standard games. Moon Tropica, again, not the most bullish on this, but does have some big KOLs, the likes of Alex Becker. Corpo, this is one which I do see having massive potential. It's a micro cap, 4 million in market cap, very good volume. It has some good listings as well, and I do think this is one which could also make a comeback. And then other ones, it's sad to see. This is the reality, guys. Altura, this is just the nature of this space, right? This is a project which, I was sort of covering, down here, and it rallied up massively, went over 150 million. I did take a lot of money out at that stage. I did leave a little bit in, but you have to take profits when you see these massive surges, right? This did, close to a 10x, and it's just pretty much been rugged now, which is a shame to see, because this is one which was one of the older projects which did have a lot of potential. And again, I think a lot of complexities when it came to the team, and again, a lot of uncertainty, which has just led to a massive, massive sell-off. So very sad to see. And again, it is just the nature of this industry. So as I've said, guys, with gaming, if you don't want to take a lot of risk, then just stick to the high caps. Another one, which I've got a lot of conviction in, something, again, one of the only game platforms, game studios for mobile that I actually used to play, or I do play when I have time, is Octo Gaming. A very small market cap, 3 million in market cap. They did get some additional listings as well, a MEXC listing. This is one which I can see doing insane returns once we get a gaming rally back. And then, yeah, guys, I will update this as, I see fit. It's just there's a lot of projects, but ultimately, if you just want some exposure, stick to the main ones, IMX, Beam, and then you can, maybe have a look at some of the lower caps as well. But guys, as I said before, gaming, a very small market cap, guys. Look how small the total market cap is for the entire gaming sector. Under 12 billion in total market cap. So as I've said, guys, of course, do your own research, but I would not sleep on gaming. Of course, you might have to be patient, but I do think gaming is going to have a massive, massive comeback. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for the next video.